Yeah, good competitive scrimmage. Good to get in the stadium. Glad at least we had families here. Wanted to see what the young quarterbacks look like on a stage like this. And from my vantage point, I thought they both did a nice job moving it. I guess Jake had 2 touchdowns and Tyler had 1. So it's exciting, and now we turn our focus into the off season. And this has to be, we just talked about that in the locker room. Our habits have to match our expectations. And right now our expectations are pretty high.
All right, we'll head into questions now. We'll start off with David Lake from InsideTheU. David?
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you mainly about the transfers, the 3 guys you added to this year's roster. All 3 kind of flashed today, and was just curious about how you felt like they performed today and just also during the course of the spring.
They've been really consistently good players all spring. Obviously, DeAndre we've had on the field the least of the 3. I think Charleston Rambo, he kind of flashed for us early and then kind of, sort of hit some dog days and then fought his way out of it and has really been has had a great last 2 weeks of practice. And then Tyreek Stevenson from the moment he came in has just I would say like you seem like you feel his presence in our secondary. So proud of all 3. It's not easy at times to come into a locker room when you're an older guy like that and earn the respect of a new bunch of teammates. And I think all 3 of those guys have.
Next, we have Mike Cunio from CBS Miami. Mike?
Hey, Coach. I just want to ask how important you felt it was to get De'Eric involved the way he was today, calling plays, just from a mental standpoint, especially for a guy who can't obviously be out there and build chemistry with receivers and everything like that.
Yeah, it was a great idea. Coach Lashley, came to me this morning and said that'd be a heck of an idea. So it's just another way that De'Eric can stay involved with our team, and I'm sure he had a lot of fun doing it.
Go to Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny?
Hey, Manny. Obviously, you guys want to come out of these things healthy, but we saw a couple guys kind of get nicked up. DJ Ivy was one of them. I know he's had a great camp for you. Just curious how he's doing and maybe the status of some of the other guys who were sidelined.
Anything today I've not had an update on. So what I saw is what you saw. So we should show some information early in the week and hopefully nothing too serious for anybody.
We'll go to David Fronis from the Sun Sentinel. David?
Hey, Manny, your initial assessment of the 2 quarterbacks, do you think one might be ahead of the other between Garcia and Van Dyke? And then also if you could just give us the latest on De'Eric King and his recovery, still on track? I know he said he was on ACC Network. And any specifics you can give us on what's next for him in his recovery?
No, he's on track. He's all the different steps, in terms of, trusting the PT and our training staff, medical staff's done a great job with them, and you walk, then you ride, then you run, and then eventually change of direction will come into it. So I think from our standpoint, want to make sure that we're being smart and safe with every step along the way. The 2 quarterbacks, again, I'd have to watch the film, but I think it would be impossible to say that there's a pecking order or ranking. Because, and I keep mentioning this, we really are not into that for any position right now. This spring was a spring. It's about guys putting 15 days of a resume, on tape. And now the summer, I think, is really where the secret sauce comes. This is where our quarterbacks, our wide receivers, we've got to get together. We have to throw when coaches aren't around. Defensively, we've got to get together as a back end. And those type things I think will really help the growth of the team. And then we come back in training camp. And those first weeks of training camp is where we will really set the way that we line up the first month of the season.
Up next, we have Gary Furman from Kane Sport. Gary?
Hey, Manny, how are you? You had a few young safeties today that looked really good and seemed to pop often. Cam, obviously, Washington, Avante. Obviously a crowded position going into the fall. What kind of role do you see these guys potentially being able to carve out for themselves?
Well, first and foremost, especially the ones that really haven't played a whole lot, you want like any player, you want them to get into the game on special teams, sort of learn what it's all about out there. those guys do it. They flash. They make a lot of plays, but they're also a little bit wild. And our offense makes it tough. It's tough to be a young DB and a young safety with the tempo and all the different formations and motions that our offense threw at them today in the spring game. So just, getting the adjustments, checks, tackling, you know what I mean? We got guys that are just because you can drive the car 120 miles an hour doesn't mean you always have to have it at 120. You got to be able to come to balance when it's time to tackle. So those guys are just, they're learning, but I will tell you that this spring, because of the large number of guys that we've had out in our secondary, has been great for them, because now they'll look back on these reps they've got this spring, and I suspect they'll be even better players when they come back in August, and then just continue to grow from there.
We'll go now to Chris Stock from Inside the U. Chris.
Yeah, man, you touched on the quarterbacks, and obviously the eyes will go to the quarterbacks, the receivers, and today. But I'm curious your take on the defensive performance today as a whole. And you just touched on some guys were out, but just what do you think of the defense today?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Again, we by design, because we didn't have very many running backs, we threw the ball a lot today, and then defensively we really lined up in two coverages. We were going to be vanilla on purpose today defensively. So. I think obviously you're looking at a secondary missing a lot of key parts, and a lot of young guys that are in there. And so, that's why this is a baptism by fire for them. And the more they continue to get in there, the better off that they'll be. So.
We'll go now to Brandon O'Doy from Football Hotbed. Brandon.
Coach, the depth and even the potential for depth is something that's striking. I just wanted to ask, especially with Borregales coming to, take over for his brother, how good do you think?
We can't hear you, Brandon.
Can you hear me now?
Barely. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe I'll.
Just a conversation on how good do you think the special teams will be, since we have so much depth, particularly at the DB position and on defense. How good do you think that would be impacted? And then with Andreas coming to, take over for his brother, all of that combined.
Well, yeah, I would hope that this is our special teams units, the players on special teams. We should really have a great special teams unit this year. But a lot of teams have a lot of guys back, so I think you'll find really highly competitive special teams this fall all across the country in college football. Now, our specialists they have, the last 2 weeks when we come in the stadium, they have been special. I mean, we all know what Headley could do. Last year we set a record for net punt in the NCAA history. And the way that Andres has looked coming in the stadium, and not just his field goals, but his kickoffs, kickoffs 5 yards deep in the end zone. That has been as exciting of an event this spring as anything we've had. So he never looks like it's too big for him, and that's encouraging.
Up next, we have Susan Miller-Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan.
Hey, Manny. I just wanted you to talk a little bit more, if you could, about the quarterbacks. It was the first time we could see Jake Garcia, for example, and we have 255 yards and 2 touchdowns, 19 to 25. He looked very good. And Tyler looked good too. How comforting is it, not knowing exactly the future, having these guys? And can you say something specifically about Jake and how he did today?
Yeah, I've not been fibbing. I know you have not been able to watch practice. I've said the future of Miami Hurricane quarterback room is in good hands, with these two and the way that we're recruiting for that position. And I think what you saw today has been there all spring. Both guys have played really, really well this spring. Jake, again, I think Jake gets into a game and looks very comfortable. I think both guys, that's the biggest thing. They both have really good pocket presence. They both look really comfortable. They have a great understanding of where the wide receivers are, and then they've got the arm talent to get the ball there. And we've got enough skill guys that can make things happen down the field. I thought our guys did a good job of making some plays down the field for our quarterbacks. So this will be a battle that everybody will want to declare early winners in, because that's just what people want to do, and that's okay. But this is going to be a long developmental process of like I said, going to summer training camp and beyond. But how cool that all the guys in the quarterback room have the opportunity to push themselves, and I think that's the encouraging thing for the future of Miami Hurricanes football.
Our last question comes from David Wilson from the Miami Herald. David.
Hey, Manny. You kind of following up on what Chris was asking about the defense. Just the defensive line in particular, I know you've talked a lot about how you guys pretty much every year you've been here have had a guy with a big sack total. Just coming out of the spring, how confident do you feel that you guys can have a guy like that, considering the still relative lack of experience, plus I guess DeAndre, who we still haven't necessarily seen a ton of?
That's our expectation. I am confident because that's our expectation. That's something that we will continue to maintain the pressure we have on the quarterback. The best way to do that is what I thought we did a really good job of this spring, which is stopping the run. Because when you stop the run, you leverage people into passing situations, and then everybody can pin their ears back and go get after the quarterback. And so it's like it's like eating your meat and vegetables before you get dessert. And I suspect we'll be able to feast on dessert as long as we do get the main course right. I thought DeAndre flashed today. I think we've got other guys that can really go. Cam Williams needs a great summer. Jafari Harvey will get a great summer. Chance Williams just needs continued reps. And you got Zach McLeod, who just with his effort alone, we know will make plays. So we told him today, a similar refrain every year. How are we going to replace Chad Thomas and Trent Harris? How will we replace Joe Jackson? How will we replace Jonathan Garvin? How will we replace Greg Rousseau? We didn't know this time last year who Jalen Phillips was, and now how will we replace Jalen and Quincy? So it's just what we do here at the University of Miami.